Productions.
Outstanding.
Welcome again to another video. It's your boy Eldorado and Ting. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification button, select all notifications so you can get notified as soon as I post a video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I mix this Shano song. I'm going to separate this video into different parts in which the mono vocals and the mix bus. However, this song is titled Time Now and it's out on all streaming platforms. It is produced by One Life Records and mixed and mastered by me. Not all songs on the project that I did. I think I'm going to did around 3 songs, and I think I'm going to go through like the vocal chains of the said 3 songs, but I'm going to go to one mix bus each in which it is on this particular song. Without further ado, so let's get into this. First, I'm going to solo out the lead vocals. Pretty much going to have a limiter on the end, so it is very loud enough so you can really hear it. And YouTube, so this is what the mute all of these things. And the intro, I pretty much leave it as is, as how I got it in the session, because I didn't really want to change the processing of this particular vocal in it. So what I've gotten on it is auto-tune effects, and I pretty much leave it as is, have it on it. When I get the session, it was an older auto-tune of the EFX plugin, so I didn't really get no retune speed, so I had to put the retune speed around to 10 to get a sound like that particular EFX plugin. The second plugin that they have on the chain is a CLA 3A plugin, in which it just only catching the peaks.
To the know we lost, so we are brave. Spend as much, drink as much, remember this I can't carry back nothing when you're gone.
It practically not doing anything, but there are times when you just catch a tiny bit of the peak and you probably might see the CLA 3A compressor shift, but it adds a little bit of loudness to it. Another plugin that came on it is this API 550B Equalizer, and this is what it sounds like with it.
To the know we lost, so we are brave. Spend as much, drink as much, remember this I can't carry back nothing when you're gone. So, one love.
So initially you have 10k boosted by 2, 3k boosted by 2, 500 hertz boosted by 2, and 50 hertz there it was filtered off by 2 dB. A next plugin that I added to this is a two-way compressor. This one is stuck with Pro Tools, and this is what it sounds like with it.
To the know we lost, so we are brave. Spend as much, drink as much, remember this I can't carry back nothing when you're gone.
So it's just catching the peaks and giving a little bit more volume. Next plugin that came on this is this doubler plugin, in which it seems like they use a preset, and I pretty much leave it as is on it.
To the know we lost, so we are brave. Spend as much, drink as much, remember this I can't carry back nothing when you're gone.
Like you hear multiples of voices in, it's shifting, not dramatically, but you can hear it. And after that, I had a hall reverb on it, in which they left it at 22% with dry knob, and I pretty much leave it as is for that particular vocal. So that's it for the intro. Now for the lead vocals for the verse and the choruses, I actually did it a slightly different way for both because of some perpendicular reason. So starting with the verse, I have auto-tune effects on it, and I pretty much pushed up the humanize, so the notes can be the notes being like shifting from one note to the next, it is way much smoother. I think I'm going to do a video explaining how to really use auto-tune on dancehall vocals. And after that plugin, it came with some plugins, but I pretty much bypassed it and used some other plugin. The plugin it came with is the 3A compressor, pretty much the same setting, and the API compressor are pretty much the same settings, but I had deactivated those plugins And after the auto-tune on the verse, I use a stock DSR to tame those high frequency at a range of 61 dB, and the frequency is set to 2.8 kilohertz to tames those S's. Reason why I really use this DSR, it sounds a little bit more natural on this particular vocal. So that is one of the reasons why I use this particular vocal, this particular DSR, and this vocals. I've tried different DSR, but it has some tonal characteristics to those type of DSR in which it wasn't fitting for this voice. So I use this one in which it sounds really natural and really have that tone character that I'm looking for this particular song. So this is what it sounds like with the DSR activated on it.
Got money, yeah, we got life. We run the road, we never broke any stoplight. We float a couple boat and some of them capsize. Never show no float, we left them water fi baptize. These days.
It is light on it. It is not, heavy DSC. It's just catching those S's a little bit. Now, the next plugin that I have on it is Pro Q3, in which I filtered out the lows around 80 something hertz. It's pretty steep, and this is what it sounds like with it.
Got money, yeah, we got life. We run the road, we never broke any stoplight. We float a couple boat and some of them capsize.
These two dips that you see here is a boxy tone and a nasal tone that I'm really not digging. So I just remove those and pretty much leave it as is. For the next plugin, I have Slate Digital Vmr, and what this is doing is pretty much coloring it to a certain extent. So being as I remove the 3A compressor and the API compressor, I replace the API compressor here and use up this compressor that has a similar color and also another 2A compressor. So this is what it sounds like with it enabled on it.
Got money, yeah, we got life. We run the road, we never broke any stoplight. We float a couple boat and some of them capsize. Never show no float, we left them water fi baptize. These days, as they make a bag of bricks, spend it properly from properties full of money. What is poverty? A time now, if we grab the Grammys.
So as you can see, this FG116 FET compressor is catching the extreme peaks, which are with a very fast release and somewhat moderate attack time, boosting 12.5 kilohertz at 2 dB per octave, 3 kilohertz, that's 3000 kilohertz at 4, ducked out some of the low mids and boosted the lows to get that body in the vocal and have this thing here enabled. I don't remember what it's named, but it really give it some form of tonal characteristic that I'm really liking, and I really like the 2A compressor for this particular song in the Slate Digital Rock, and I just use it to kind of smooth out the peaks a little bit to get it sounding a little bit more smoother. It's not really smooth to really extremely smooth it out, but to give it some form of character that I'm looking for this particular vocal. Next plugin on this list is a multi-band compressor, in which instead of using an EQ here in the low mids, I'm using a compressor to push down back those boxy to nearly nasal frequencies to just tuck it down a little bit. So this is what it sounds like with it on it.
Got money, yeah, we got life. We run the road, we never broke any stoplight. We float a couple boat and some of them capsize. Never show no float, we left them water fi baptize.
Without.
These days, as they make a bag of bricks, spend it properly from properties full of money. What is poverty? A time now if we grab the Grammys.
So it is more control than I have to be using an EQ there and using another EQ again after, because to how I EQ, I rather use 2 EQ to do the same thing than using 1 EQ to do a big dip or boost in something. So after the multiband DSI, I also added another EQ to notch out a specific frequency out of the song, and I just knocked out about almost 2 dB of gain reduction, and this is what it sounds like with it.
Got money, yeah, we got life. We run the road, we never broke any stoplight.
Without.
We float a couple boat and some of them capsize. Never throw no float, we left them water
With
fi
it.
baptize. These days, as we make a bag of bricks, spend it properly from properties full of money. What is pop?
So that's it for the verse. The lead vocals, it consisted of the auto-tune, a little bit more humanized settings on it, de-essing, EQ, pretty much copy the EQ, VMR, and the multi-band compressor. I didn't add back an EQ to the end of this chain because I didn't see it really necessary for this particular vocal.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, 1,000 pounds for the sweater. Queen for the place, have to write me a letter. Real go getter. A time now, a time now.
So this is what it sounds like with the rhythm and beat playing.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, 1,000.
So it's pretty much low as is, but in the next video, I'm going to show you like the chain of plugins that I have here on the bus. So stay tuned or skip to the next video after this one to see the continuation of this particular mix that I did. So without further ado, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video of this particular vocal mixing session. So without further ado, it's a boy Eldorado. Subscribe.